It's the Brian Craig Show podcast where MAGA comes to talk. I'm Brian Craig, and the Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair for any type of structure, Tom Laporta is your guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. Online, LaportaRoofing.com. Well, so much has happened. I tell you, it's just... Oh, man. You know how many times I'll do a show and a podcast and I'm ready to upload it and then I'll say, oh, something just happened. Trump just broke some new news. So I have to do another segment, change the title, change the thumbnail, and re-edit the entire podcast. Same thing happens a lot of times when I put my YouTube stream up in the mornings to go on the air at 6 because I'm on the air live from 6 till 9 weekday mornings. And I'll set up the live stream, I don't know, an hour, sometimes 2 hours before I go on the air. I do my show prep, and then I decide what I'm going to lead with, and I'll make that the thumbnail and the title for the YouTube video. And I can't tell you how many times I'll do that. I'll have a cup of coffee, and then I'll look and say, well, I got to change it. Because things are in the second term of Trump are just, they're happening at such a rapid rate. So we got a lot to cover. Welcome to the show, everyone. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Now, you know, President Trump won because of a lot of reasons. One of them, though, is a lot of people that have never voted Republican in their life. Some of them, a lot of them who voted against Trump in the two elections before voted for him this time. And it's not just because Biden was so bad. I mean, you know, that was a factor, no doubt about it. But there's been a great awakening, like a red pilling of America. And so many people that are liberal or Democrat just out of habit, who have had this negative stereotype of what Republicans are that's really bad, you know, the MSNBC crowd types, and they've woken up. And I saw something this morning that is quite possibly the beginning of something big. Glenn Beck interviewed Kid Rock. Okay. And listen to this. This is in Mediaite. Kid Rock announced he's talking to Bill Maher. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. I misspoke. Kid Rock announced he's taking, not talking. Kid Rock announced he's taking Bill Maher to the White House to, quote, break bread with President Trump as part of an effort to unite the country. Vocal Trump supporter Kid Rock revealed his plans while speaking with the Blaze's Glenn Beck this week. The musician said he proposed a dinner at the end of the month between himself, Bill Maher, and the president. He said this, quote, I'm actually going to try and unite this country. And I'm starting at the end of the month. I'm taking Bill Maher to the White House for dinner. This guy who has done nothing but talk smack about the president since day one, he said. You know, and I know a lot of people say, well, who cares? He's a celebrity. You know, Bill Maher, I think, has been a closet conservative for quite a while, at least for a couple of years, maybe longer. And he's got a few things that make it very difficult for him to admit that. And I don't imagine he's ever going to become a Republican. He might do what a lot of Democrats do when they don't have the guts to announce and come out as a Republican. They announce they're an independent. You see that a lot. I'm an independent now. It's, you know, being independent, it's like someone who's gay, but they don't have the guts to come out of the closet, so they say they're bisexual. You know, it's kind of like that. But Bill Maher, he's got a few problems that make it difficult for him to come out of the closet as MAGA. One, he spent his entire adult life, and his career even now is based in Hollywood, which is Hollyweird and, you know, liberals out there. And I guess maybe he's afraid he'll lose all his friends, and he's been in that Hollywood area. But beyond that, there's one thing about Bill Maher that and he's a very funny man, you know, Bill Maher. He was in a movie. The first time I ever remember hearing of Bill Maher, and I didn't really know who he was then, but he was in a movie. This tells you how far back it was. He was in a movie starring Mr. T called DC Cab. It starred Mr. T and Gary Busey, and Bill Maher's in it. You should look it up. I've not seen that movie since I was a kid, but I remember it. And I remember Bill Maher in it because he was wearing a satin jacket, which were kind of popular back then in the early 80s. And I was a big Mr. T fan. Who wasn't a fan of Mr. T back then? The A-Team, I was on it, everything. I was a kid. But he's very funny, although extremely liberal. And when Kathy and I were first married, so this was like 97-ish, 96 or 7. I can't remember if it was 96 or 97, but Kathy and I went to Los Angeles for 2 weeks. She had to get a medical procedure. And we were out there for 2 weeks. And we actually went and were in the studio audience of Bill Maher's ABC show, Politically Incorrect. Remember that show? And the big secret about Politically Incorrect is that it was the opposite. It was politically correct, but Politically Incorrect was the name. And we went and saw it in the studio audience. And it was really cool. It was right next door to The Price is Right. And we couldn't get tickets to The Price is Right, but we got tickets to Politically Incorrect. And we had a great time. And I remember only one of the guests, they had a whole panel on that show too, like all of them, but Norm Macdonald was the guest. And before the show, we had good seats too. Before the show started taping, Bill Maher came out and talked he was very cool, came out and talked to the audience and everything. It was really cool. But I don't watch his HBO show. And what turned me off with Bill Maher, many years ago, he released an entire feature film. It was kind of like a documentary kind of thing, but it was a feature film actually released in theaters. He's an atheist. And it was a movie about Christianity and atheism. And it was called, let me see if I can remember. It was called Religulous, something like that. I'm probably mispronouncing it. And this was like almost 20 years ago, if not 20 years ago. It was a long time ago. And I don't like to associate with atheists. I get really creeped out by it. I think atheism is evil. And there's been some people that I've been big fans of that I found out were atheists, and I don't watch them anymore. The biggest one is Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais is one of the funniest people alive today. But when I found out he was an atheist, that was it. He made a movie, The Invention of Lying. It's an entire movie about atheism. And Bill Maher is a hardcore atheist, hardcore anti-Christian. And I don't watch his show. On occasion, I'll see something about him in the news like now, and I might watch a clip or two, and I might talk about it here on the program, but I don't follow atheists. I don't pay attention to atheists. They creep me out. There's a lot of other people that are atheists. I found out that were atheists, and it's really sad. And atheism is also very dangerous. This lunatic prime minister in England is an atheist. And when you're an atheist, as a world leader, as a leader of I don't know how major of a nation England is anymore, but it's an important country. When you are an atheist and you're leading a nation that's a player in world affairs, and you think there's nothing beyond life on this earth, how can you be trusted with leading an important and major nation? Because everything in your mind is here on earth. There's nothing after, there's nothing before. And it's all about your personal gratification here on the planet. I think it's dangerous to have a world leader, a nation's leader who's an atheist. But Bill Maher's an atheist, and he views the Republican Party as like a church organization. He thinks it's like a Christian church group. So he's going to have some difficulties. However, if he were to do what someone like Bobby Kennedy did or Tulsi Gabbard and throw his support behind Trump and MAGA, that would be amazing. MAGA is a movement that is going to last for a long, long time. When the Tea Party started up, when Obama became president, the Republican establishment were able to just destroy the Tea Party because the Tea Party didn't have a leader. It was a leaderless movement. And that was its downfall because there was no one to really hold it together, and they got rid of it. MAGA, we have a leader, Donald Trump, but this is his last term. He's not a lame duck, by the way. I know they want to portray him as a lame duck, but he's not a lame duck. Very powerful. And he's preparing. Donald Trump himself is preparing for the MAGA movement to last long after his presidency and long after he's gone. That's why so many of the people he's picked are young. He's a baby boomer, but, Gen X has been completely skipped over with J.D. Vance, went right to the millennials. I'm not too happy about that. Maybe J.D. will pick a running mate who's a Gen Xer. I don't know. But he's picking young people because he wants this movement to last and go on and on and on and become the Republican Party. We're the Republican Party now, but there's still Republican establishment holdouts, and they're plotting a comeback with DeSantis. This thing I was talking about, there was something I was talking about with Larry Elder, which I'm going to mention on the podcast here because I did a live stream on YouTube about this yesterday. But I want to mention it. The Republican establishment are not just, they haven't surrendered, they haven't disbanded, they haven't given up. They're planning a comeback. So it's important. So if Bill Maher would throw his support behind MAGA, and I know that's a long shot, but it's the beginning of something if he's going to meet with Trump at the White House. And I'm not sure if Trump's agreed to that. It's a little vague with Kid Rock, but I imagine he would. He would open the door to a lot of people and say it's okay to say nice things about Trump. A lot of people had in the past had been afraid to support Trump. They've been afraid to back MAGA with these common sense things and oppose this woke insanity. So Bill Maher, I don't expect him to become a Republican. I don't expect Bill Maher to say I'm MAGA. But if he started being more positive, leaning towards Trump in a vocal way, it would help us in the long run. Okay, it really would. Remember what Ronald Reagan said. If you agree with us 80%, he said the Republican Party is a big tent. And if you agree with us 80% of the time, you're in the tent. I think that's a good rule of thumb. I know there's exceptions and there's particular issues that are, those litmus test issues. I get that. But Bill Maher, I think that's a pretty good thing that Kid Rock's doing. And Kid Rock is one of President Trump's best friends. So I think that's a good thing. Let me know what you all think. I saw on X today, they had a clip from the news in Germany, which they translated. So I'm not gonna. It's in German, so playing it unless you speak German and understand it, it's not going to make much sense. But it's been translated. Okay, so I'm gonna mute the audio or let me turn it down. Let me see. Is that low enough? Okay, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to turn it down, and it's been translated. So I'm going to read to you what this German reporter is saying. Okay, and she's saying Europeans now face a dual challenge: defending against Russia and the United States. Okay, and Donald Trump. And she is saying that they have two enemies now, Trump and Russia. Okay, that Europe has two enemies, Trump and Russia. And when J.D. Vance spoke in Munich a few weeks ago, he said it, right? He said it. Why are we allies now? What are we allied together for? What do we represent together? The NATO alliance, our alliance with Europe, came about in the Second World War because of the Nazis. After the Nazis, they created the boogeyman of the Cold War with the Soviet Union, but that's long gone, and they're trying to bring that back. And I'm not going to get into the details as to why, but that's what Europe is so desperate to push the world into a war again. They brought us 2 world wars and a lot of other terrible things. Why are they so vested in starting another war? I know the most immediate answer is it's a way for them to make money. Maybe it's a way for them to make money, but at the cost of having war on their own continent. It's a small continent. Countries very close together. It's very dangerous. The Europeans are sickos, okay? They are sickos and psychos. And, here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. Our founding fathers did not break free from England, did not break free from Europe, and our ancestors didn't leave Europe because Europe was a good place. It was a terrible place for people. The elitist, they were mostly royals at the time, but they were all royals when our country became independent. But I'm talking about during the phases of mass immigration from Europe to America. Our ancestors left Europe throughout the history of the United States and came to the United States rejecting everything Europe is about. It's about elitism. It went from royals to prime ministers and things and globalists, but there's still the same royal court of elitists over there. And they are driving us into another war because the serfs are the ones who suffer while they get rich. And this NATO alliance, President Trump just can't leave the NATO alliance, okay? This is a treaty that's been ratified by the United States Senate, so it would take moves in Congress to get us out of NATO. And if we got out of NATO, Europe could very well end up in a war. We may be and I think this is very true. They say nuclear weapons are the reason there hasn't been a third world war. There's been a lot of wars since 1945. I think the reason there hasn't been another world war is because we've had such a strong hand in NATO and we've stopped it. And you see Europe right now, they're like desperate. They're like junkies fighting over the last little bit of heroin in the needle or in the syringe or the last crack rock or something. They're like junkies and their addiction is war. And they think anyone who opposes war with Russia is some type of terrible thing. And I know a lot of people that are liberals, trolls that are listening to me, you see them in my chat rooms a lot. They say, "Oh, you support Putin, you support Russia. He's a dictator." No, I don't support Russia. But there's a lot of places I don't support. Just because I'm saying we shouldn't be involved somewhere doesn't mean I'm supporting some dictator. There's a lot of places around the world that are run by dictators. I'll give you an example. Haiti, which is in our hemisphere, part of the Americas, is a complete anarchy. But we shouldn't be involved there. I'm sorry. But it doesn't mean that we're in favor of the anarchists and warlords that are terrorizing the people of Haiti. We got to take care of our own country first. And as far as I'm concerned, let Europe get themselves in another war. Just keep us out of it. This time, we're not going to get involved in it. My goodness. I've never seen such war mongers as this. And I know a lot of people will say, well, after 9/11, that 9/11 was a different and very unique time. Okay. What's going on with Ukraine is viewed, I think, by reasonable people as a civil war. Oh, they've been independent since 91. Yeah, but no, it's a civil war. It's a civil war. I'll tell you another thing too. My mother-in-law stopped by the house yesterday, and Kathy's mother is a U.S. citizen, but she's originally from Canada, and she came to the United States in the 60s, and she's a U.S. citizen, lived her life here, and had kids, family, and all that. And we were talking about Canada, and Canada's population is really small. Their population is about that of California, okay? It's around 40 million people in Canada. Their population always hovers around, I know it's a little bit more than that now, but it hovers around 10 to 12% of the population of the United States. And they're attempting to do this boycott on us. Now, California is important, but if California were its own country and they decided they were going to have a trade war with the United States, which would have 49 states at that time, who would win? I'm not saying California's size is insignificant, but the entire nation of Canada, which landmass-wise is larger than our country, the population is about that of California. Who would win a trade war if California said we're going to have a trade war if they were the Republic of California, right? Against the United States? Who would win? Well, the United States would win because it's a small population. They don't have a population large enough to sustain their own industries and to battle us. Same thing with Canada. It's a country with a small population. It's completely hopeless for them to be able to win any kind of trade war. And I saw a story yesterday that there's some new gun confiscation, gun laws going into effect in Canada. Why are they clamping down? And my guess is they're starting to clamp down on what few guns are left in the hands of Canadians because these wacko positions that their communist government is taking are not popular with the American people, with the Canadian people. And by the way, who's this guy with the turban that looks like a Latin all grown up, who's like the spokesperson for Canada's trade war against the United States? Really? They're going to put everything in this guy's hands? These people are out of their minds. What Canada is doing is insane. And they really, all President Trump is asking is for reciprocal tariffs, which means whatever taxes they have on us is what we have on them. That's it. So how is that unfair or unreasonable? It makes no sense, but they're going to lose this, and President Trump's going to come out a big hero. Now, we got a lot to cover on the program today, okay? I mean, a lot. I did a live stream on YouTube yesterday, a brief one on something I saw that was so upsetting to me yesterday. It really, really was. And I'm going to share it with you after the break. And I really want to hear your thoughts and comments on it too. But first, I want to talk about Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. You guys know he's rid me of pain 7 times. Some of the pains have been from injuries, like my 3 shoulder injuries he's treated me for and rid me of pain each of those times. Other times, though, it's not been from injuries, but just things from aging, the arthritis in my hand, my knee, these kind of things. He's rid me of pain with those things as well. His laser treatment works. It's completely painless. You don't even feel it when it's happening. And Dr. Appleton is able to isolate the area of your body that's causing you the pain, the part that's broken. And the laser, what it does, he zeroes the laser in on that area. And what it does is it repairs the damage in your body that's causing you the pain. So that's why when he treats you and he rids you of pain without drugs, without shots, without downtime, without injections, it doesn't return because he's repaired the problem causing you the pain. It's amazing. I sometimes I think, what would I be like if I didn't have Dr. Appleton? I'd either be a junkie or I'd be in so much pain I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. He's absolutely amazing. We have had listeners travel from all over Florida and all over the United States just to see Dr. Appleton. Walk-ins are welcome. Appointments are never necessary, even on Saturdays. Now, if you're coming from out of town or out of state, you don't need an appointment, but you can make them. His number is 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. My name's Brian Craig. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. It started like a fairy tale. A beautiful young woman, a dashing mafia prince, wealth, passion, a dream wedding. They had it all. But fairy tales don't last forever. From Hollywood, California-based author Pamela M. Richter comes your next must-read book, Flashback, Lolita, available on Amazon. Her prince murdered, her world shattered, and now Lolita's trapped in a maximum security prison with steel bars, ruthless guards, rival gangs, poison, betrayal, and death at every turn. Can Lolita survive the nightmare? Or will she become just another forgotten inmate? Find out when you read Flashback Lolita from author Pamela M. Richter. Available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. You will not be able to put this dark thriller down. Order your copy right now. What's for snack time today? Pudding for a penguin? Gummy worms for a gorilla? Or onion rings for an octopus? From author Mark Anderson comes the hilarious new children's book, Snack Time at the Zoo, available on Amazon. In Snack Time at the Zoo, meet Stanley Smellman, your friendly neighborhood animal snackologist. He's got the silliest job in town, and that's preparing wild and wacky treats for his zoo friends. But Stanley isn't just about fun. He's kind, he's caring, and he always goes above and beyond to help others. With colorful illustrations puns, giggle-worthy rhymes, and a heartwarming message about kindness, Snack Time at the Zoo is the perfect bedtime story for kids, parents, and grandparents to enjoy together. And teachers, it also makes a great addition to your classroom reading collection. Available now on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Order today and get ready for a snack time adventure you won't forget. Snack Time at the Zoo from author Mark Anderson, because being kind is cool. Order your copy on Amazon. Your home is more than just a place. It's a reflection of your style, your personality, and your dreams. Anonian Decor will bring elegance, quality, and timeless design to your space. From stunning lighting and modern rugs to decorative accents, as well as luxurious wall art, their curated collections will transform your house into your home. At Aeonian Decor, you'll find high-quality, stylish decor designed to elevate every room, from the living space to the office and beyond. Shop with ease, enjoy expert design advice, and create a home that truly inspires. Visit AeonianDecor.com. That's AEONIAN. Design your dream home and bring it to life. AeonianDecor.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Okay, Hakeem Jeffries dropped a video yesterday. And you got to wonder, is he of sound mind and body here, or is he just pandering to his base? He actually believes, MAGA, Republicans, that they have us up against the ropes. Listen to this. This is nuts.
We have the Republicans on the run on three core issues. They are on the run in terms of the economy. In fact, Donald Trump and Republicans are crashing the economy in real time. Donald Trump gave one of the most divisive speeches by a president in American history. 100 minutes. And he barely spent any time on the economy. Why? Because it's collapsing on his watch. They made promises with respect to lowering costs. Costs aren't going down. They're going up. Inflation is going up. You know what's coming down? Donald Trump's poll numbers. Because he is mismanaging the economy and the American people are feeling it. And we're just at the 45-day mark. We have them on the run in terms of healthcare, particularly as it relates to Medicaid. House Democrats stand on the side of Medicaid and the American people. Republicans are trying to enact the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. And we need to keep the pressure on them legislatively and in communities all across the country. And partnering with you, we will be able to continue to do that. And we have them on the run with respect to the GOP tax scam, where they want to cut Medicaid, cut nutritional assistance for children and families, cut veterans' benefits, and potentially cut Social Security benefits by trying to decimate the Social Security Administration. We have to continue to call them out on their extremism. We will do that. And all of that is being done in service of trying to pass massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors like Elon Musk and wealthy corporations. So we have them on the run, and we're going to keep our foot on the gas pedal.
This is the economy. Come on. I mean, they were going to comment on this stupid. What's he talking about? Eggs? I mean, the divisive speech. This is how liberals operate, right? If they don't agree, you're being divisive. If you don't agree with them. And a common theme with this Trump second term, this is a Republican term unlike anything we've ever seen before, because every time Republicans have been in the majority in the past, every time, they always immediately make a move to make friends with the Democrats. Sometimes they even share the chairmanship of committees. I remember when they did that, when the Republicans took over. So this is really maybe the only time, at least the only time that I can remember, where the Republicans behave like they actually won the election. Okay, could he share the poll that says that Trump's poll numbers are dropping? Because every poll I've seen, especially the ones after that great speech to Congress the other day, his poll numbers are through the roof. In fact, historically high, not just for him, but for any president. Now, this is one of the few times where they have any shred of truth to what they're saying in their talking points. And what Trump is doing is dropping from Medicaid all the illegals that are on it. The people who haven't paid into the system, are in the country illegally and don't qualify for Medicaid. So if you count taking the illegals off Medicaid as cuts that are bad, okay, I guess he's right on that one. But who thinks that foreign nationals that are criminals, federal fugitives from justice in the country illegally, should have free health care? How much do you pay for your health care? Do you even have health care insurance? Well, the illegals do. Yeah, so we're cutting that. So we're cutting Medicaid. So according to him, we're taking Medicaid away from the poorest of the poor who need it. And we're now going to take food away from children. Find me children that are going without food that are in the country illegally, by the way, because of Donald Trump. The only time I remember food lunch programs being cut and kids going hungry is when Obama was president and Michelle put in that healthy whatever it was that she was doing. Remember that? They were taking out the high carb meals out of the school lunches and giving them salads, and the kids were hungry because they need those high calories. And for a lot of those kids, that was most of their calories for the day in low-income neighborhoods. But other than Michelle Obama and Barack making kids go hungry, I don't know of another time we've taken food away from nutritional assistance for children. Now, what he's talking about there with the veteran, come on, Trump's the biggest friend the veterans ever had, but what he's talking about cutting Social Security, he's talking about those 10 million people over the age of 120 that are on the rolls. Yeah, we're cutting that. That's a big cut. Who's getting that money? This is insane. I think really that Hakeem Jeffries has lost his mind. Yeah, okay, yeah, joined by who? Bunch of other liberal. You know, the Democrats have a lot of problems, okay? They really do. But one of the biggest problems they have is that they don't have a leader. They don't have a single leader. They don't have, not only do they not have a leader, they don't have anyone that has any sense inside their party. All right. You know, everyone that is in their circle is as out of their mind as he is. And, you know, a lot of times you'll have some, you know, you'll have people in charge of something or someone who's really radical, but they'll have someone around who has enough sense that they can bring reality back to the situation. And the Democrats, they can't look at how the country's changed. They've lost pulse. They've lost touch with the pulse of the American people. They don't understand what the people want. They think people want in this country. They think the majority of people want an endless invasion of illegal immigrants into the country, hijacking our country and replacing us, and men and women's sports. And they don't get it. And of course, we want World War III in Europe. That's what they think we all want. And we don't want them to figure this out, because if they figure this out, they might have a chance of winning an election sometime. So we don't want them to figure it out. We can just laugh at it. Now, MSNBC, which is, you know, like the Titanic of cable, Stephanie Ruhle, she's talking about Ukraine. Listen to this.
So for the person who's watching,
yes,
who just heard you say Donald Trump is not standing up for Ukraine, what do you say to the person who says, well, I don't care about Ukraine. I want Donald Trump to stand up for America. What do you say to them?
I don't know where you got that. I mean, I don't have time for it.
Yes, but we hear it. We hear it.
Here's the thing. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a place where you thought the Russians were the good guys? What part of America did you grow up in where they taught you the Russians were the good guys and our allies were the bad guys? That's the flip here that we need to continue to remind people. The Russians are the bad guys. They're raping women. They're killing children. They're bombing cities. The Ukrainians are the noble good guys. In some ways, they're more American than we are over the last couple of years. And we must stand with them in the same way we stood with the Allies in World War II and since this country was founded. This is not just about Ukraine. This is about the core and the integrity of American values. And that's what he's also betraying. Not just Ukraine. He's betraying American values.
That's what I was hoping you would get at, because this isn't just about Ukraine. This is about Russia. And don't we need to remind the American people that they are the bad guy?
Yeah, Donald Trump's not standing up for Ukraine. Donald, you know, right now, President Trump talked about this a few days ago. There's been one of the largest bombing campaigns by Russia on Ukraine, maybe in the entire war, certainly since the early days of it. I mean, and President Trump said there's a lot of people dying in Ukraine, some hardcore bombing. And that's been going on this week. And of course, I'm opposed to that, and you are too. But what's happened here is there's a couple things here. Zelensky refused to sign that mineral deal and have a ceasefire. If he would have signed that mineral deal when he was at the White House with the president and agreed for President Trump to negotiate a ceasefire with Putin, this bombing we're seeing right now wouldn't be going on. They would be in a ceasefire and deep into peace talks. And the people that are dying in Ukraine right now are dying because of Zelensky. Okay? Zelensky's the one who's responsible for that, just as much as Putin is for ordering the attacks, because none of this would be going on right now if he would not have been out of control and got worked up by these Democrats from Congress that he met with before he went into the White House with JD and the president. They're responsible too for what's going on right now with this bombing campaign. But what Stephanie Ruhle says here in the beginning, that they are the bad guy. I mean, that is, what are we, 6? They're the bad guy. Oh, they're the bad guy. Really? Why? Why are they the bad guy that we should stand up to? There's lots of bad people and bad countries in the world, okay? Oh, my goodness. I mean, our own country, with the last administration, the Biden regime, was invading our country, right? It's amazing to me that these leftists think that border sovereignty and the integrity of the Ukrainian border is worth going to war, the Third World War, maybe even a nuclear war over, and put Europe in complete war again. But an invasion of our country where people are dying, fentanyl, the crimes, right? We got to suck that up. Why? How can you make a case that border sovereignty in Ukraine is worth going to nuclear war over, but our border sovereignty is racist or ethnocentric or just bigoted and hate? How dare you support a border? They want to have it both ways. Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to support the program, becoming a Patreon supporter is a great way to do that. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode of the program. And if you are a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes, okay? So there's a link in the description, as I said, in every episode, including this one, on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, Brandon, George, Constance, Shauna, Lizab, K-Mac, Alice, Richard, Maria in Texas, David, Heather, John, Dale, Frank, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, and John S. Thank you all for your support. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. Now, I came across something yesterday that really, it was very disappointing and also surprising. And I did a quick and short live stream on YouTube about this. And it involved Larry Elder. You may have seen that live stream on my YouTube channel. But I want to tell you what happened because I was really put off by what Larry Elder did. Now, I don't follow Larry. I mean, I know who he is, and I've seen him on TV. I know he ran for governor and all that stuff. But I kind of thought of him as a conservative, right? Conservative. Little did I know that he seems to be a rhino. What he did, I saw on YouTube yesterday. This popped up on my recommendations. I'm not sure why, because I don't follow him or watch him. I've never listened to his radio program, but yesterday on YouTube, it just came up. A recommendation. It was a clip from his radio show. And I did post this on my X. I tweeted it on my X. Brian Craig USA on X. Brian Craig USA on X. That's my new X. Brian Craig USA on X, okay? And this video is there in which he goes into a lot more detail And he said that he had a conversation with President Trump and told him that he was wrong about something and should apologize for it. And in his story, in Larry Elder's story, he said that the president responded, and President Trump said, "What about the John McCain? I like people that don't get captured." He said, "No, you accused President George W. Bush of lying about WMDs in Iraq." And he wasn't lying. The intelligence was bad. And he went into, and if you watch this video, again, it's on my X, Brian Craig USA. You can watch the whole thing. He went into a lot of detail. First off, I don't believe that he did that. I mean, I just find it hard to believe that he was meeting with the president and got all accusatory with him about this. And when you go and watch the video, he's very judgmental. He's like condemning President Trump. And I was shocked about this. Now, I think now at the time when the war in Iraq before it happened and they built up to it, I did not know. I believed, but I didn't know Bush was a lying war criminal and Cheney. Did you? No, most Republicans didn't. But later we found out they completely lied. They had the British intelligence, which was 100% a lie. They knew it was a lie. British intelligence, which gave us the dossier, that fake dossier on Trump, the PP tape dossier. So, they get us in all kinds of trouble, British intelligence. It was a complete lie. Bush knew it was a lie. Cheney knew it was a lie. They both wanted to go into Iraq for different reasons. George W. Bush wanted to go in because Saddam tried to kill his father in Kuwait when Bill Clinton first became president, if you remember, and there was a little family vengeance there. Dick Cheney had two reasons. One, he was defense secretary with Bush 1. And he was upset that the UN resolution did not allow them to go in and take Baghdad then, and it really was a good thing because taking out Saddam Hussein caused years of chaos and anarchy and a lot of death. And also for profit, Dick Cheney wanted to make money. And I'm listening to Larry Elder defend George W. Bush over the WMD lie. I was in shock. Who with a straight face could say today, who's a Republican, say that Bush did not lie about WMDs? This is very accepted in conservative circles now. And now we know. We know for sure. We did not know then, but we know for sure now. And it really ticked me off. And Larry Elder, I'm not 100% sure why he's doing this. It could be that he's pissed off that he didn't get a spot working for Trump like so many people did. And I know there's a lot of jealousies from people who feel they're shut out. I know of people who feel they deserve a seat at the table and they don't have it and they're upset. Okay. There is a lot of that going on. But also, I think it's more likely that he is friends with the Bushes. He's trying to worm his way in with the Bushes. And he's viewing in his mind, Larry Elder, Trump is a lame duck. And he's thinking about getting behind Ron DeSantis or whatever Bush-backed Republican establishment candidate that they put up. So he'll have access with the next president. And you can go and watch the video and let me know in the comments or call me on the live show during the week and share your thoughts on Larry Elder. But like I say, I don't follow him. Maybe a lot of you do. I've never listened to his radio show except for this clip I saw. So maybe he speaks this way all the time. But that was not the impression I had of him. And he's a never Trumper. He is a never Trumper. And he's not MAGA. I'm very disappointed in him. MAGA has been very good to Larry Elder, as President Trump's been very good to Larry Elder. And for him to do that is more than just a little disappointing. It's way disappointing. And I'll never forget it. And there was no purpose for him to do that other than to get in the good graces of the Bush family. In fact, for some reason, I almost have a feeling that he had a conversation with the Bushes and he did it at their request. It was just so bizarre and random, out of the blue, out of nowhere. I don't know. It's just, he's just on my radar as a never. I'm going to put him on the never Trumper list now, Larry Elder. And you guys, before you render judgment on it, go and watch the video. I tweeted this over the weekend, so you might have to scroll through my X to find it. Brian Craig USA on X. Go and watch the whole video. He talks about Colin Powell. He had a conversation with Colin Powell, who was ashamed and all this stuff because he was lied to and he sold the lie. Larry Elder, I was pretty ticked off about it. And I will not forget it. And this is one of those things we've got to remember, because at some point he's going to ask for our support again. And then I'm going to remember this and bring it up to you guys. Now, MyPillow, Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell, he's been with us for a long time. And actually, Kathy reached out to Mike Lindell. This is how we got him as a sponsor of our program. She reached out to Mike Lindell, and he got back to her. And he's a very nice guy. And he's been with us for many, many years on the program, Mike Lindell. And I have all these MyPillow products. I bought them all, and I use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. There's incredible deals going on right now. The flannel sheets are less than $45. They're usually $99.98, and they're $44.98 now. And it's free shipping site-wide with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. The mega sale continues. It's free shipping on all orders with no minimum order required. And if you have an order that's $100 or more, they're also throwing in 2 free standard MyPillows. And there's just incredible deals right now. And, Mike Lindell, because of his support for the president, he's been kicked out of all those retail stores. And he's been able to stay in business and not lay off his employees because people like you and me have been supporting his company. And every time you make a purchase using our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Remember, you're supporting all my content, the podcast, my YouTube channel, the radio show. It's greatly appreciated. Promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break. There's a lot more to talk about. There's a big story I'm going to get to when we get back that I haven't mentioned yet. My name's Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, where MAGA comes to talk. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Dreaming of your next getaway? Whether it's the romance of Paris, the adventure of Sydney, or the charm of London, your perfect trip starts at thegoway.com. Thegoway.com is the best travel site in 2025, comparing the best deals from top travel brands so you get unbeatable prices on your flight, your hotel, and more. Looking for something unique? Discover breathtaking destinations and book your dream vacation in just a few clicks. With hassle-free transportation and accommodations, all you have to do is pack your bags. London, Rome, Sydney, Paris, Dubai. Book your unforgettable dream vacation right now at thegoway.com. Are you looking for a new job and tired of filling out endless applications? Let Lift My CV take over the job search for you. Lift My CV is the new AI-powered job search agent that finds and auto-applies to the best jobs for you, so you can land that dream job faster and easier than ever. Lift My CV is easy to use too. Just set your preferences, upload your resume, and Lift My CV handles everything else. It scans top job boards like LinkedIn, Monster, and more, and fills out the applications while you focus on prepping for that big interview. Your job search just got a lot easier. There's no subscriptions and no commitments. Sign up right now at liftmycv.com. That's liftmycv.com. Apply faster. Get hired sooner. What does it mean to be a man? For years, Josiah Harris struggled, lost in addiction, uncertain of purpose, and then he made a choice. He turned his life around, joined the Marine Corps, and committed to becoming stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually. Now on his podcast, Creating Stronger Men, host Josiah Harris shares real stories and the hard truths about discipline, mindset, and breaking free from weakness. It's time to destroy the ego, stay motivated, and become the warrior you were meant to be. Add Creating Stronger Men with Josiah Harris to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify. Artificial intelligence isn't the future, it's the now. AI is already changing the way we live, work, and think. The question is, are you keeping up? From author Dr. Mustafa comes your next must-read book, Everyday AI, available on Amazon. Everyday AI is the ultimate guide to understanding and using AI in ways that will make your life easier, smarter, and more productive. With this book, you'll discover how AI is revolutionizing industries like healthcare, education, and entertainment. You'll learn to use AI tools to boost your productivity, make better decisions, and even future-proof your career. Don't have a tech degree? No problem. Everyday AI breaks down complex concepts into simple, real-world applications that anyone can understand. Step into the future with confidence. AI is here, and it's time to make it work for you. Order your copy of Everyday AI from author Dr. Mustafa on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Don't just watch the future happen, be a part of it with Everyday AI on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back to our third segment. I'm Brian Craig. I just saw just now Andrew Tate. Listen to this. Dana White and Andrew Tate, they got a picture of them together at this UFC event. And I don't know if I'm the only conservative out there that sees this. Well, I know I'm not the only one, but you don't hear from the other ones. What is this obsession that our MAGA brothers and sisters have over Andrew Tate? I know he says a lot of things about masculinity that are popular, but why have him around? What is the benefit of having this guy around? He's bad news for us. He is very bad news for us. And he's on all the shows. Everybody wants to take a picture with him. Everybody wants to meet him. Everybody wants to be at the event with him. I just don't get it. And I so far as these accusations and everything he's been going through, it's not just because of that. What's the connection? And if you noticed, even a reporter asked President Trump about him. And if you have to ask yourself, what is he doing in this country? And there's a couple of possibilities. I mean, he's maybe leaving Europe because they're giving him such a hard time over there, and he's obviously got a lot of friends here in the United States. But have you ever thought about the idea that maybe some never Trumper is responsible for Andrew Tate coming here? They're desperate to get him with Trump. That's why a reporter asked him about Andrew Tate the other day. Didn't know anything about it. And I've thought that the reason that so many MAGA people that are influencers spend so much time buddying up to Andrew Tate is because he's good for views and attention, because he is famous. He's one of the most famous men in the world. He's got a big following and all of that. But I've seen him on every show. He was on Patrick Bet-David. Now he's here. There was a Republican group who invited him and his brother to speak here in Florida. And Megyn Kelly came out and said, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. Don't have anything. There's no benefit in us being connected to this guy. There's only negative. And at some point, there's going to be scandal with him. And that doesn't mean that it's scandal that he's responsible for. He's one of those guys that wherever he goes, there's problems. And they may not even be his fault. I mean, a lot of people travel around and cause grief and everything for him. I get that, but we should not have, there's Andrew Tate in our circle. He's a poison person. Okay. And we want him as far away from Trump as possible. And people that are buddying up with him that are close to Trump, it's not smart. It's why? There's a thing about celebrity. A lot of celebrities like to hang out with other celebrities. They're very impressed with celebrities, that celebrities know who they are and they know that. It's what's developing in the more famous wing of the MAGA influencer movement, like the people that are like household name famous. It's becoming almost like a Hollywood elitist circle, where there's these very famous people. They're very impressed with one another. They want to be around each other, and it's not always the right thing to do. And I'm not giving an opinion on whether these accusations against him are true or not. I don't think any of us really know what the truth is about all of that. I don't know. He's beat the charges over there, so that's good. But why would you, if you're someone who's in Trump's inner circle, all eyes are on you, okay? I remember Rush Limbaugh said after January 6th, he said this on the air, And I heard this, and what Rush said was very important. Rush Limbaugh said, he said, they are listening to every word we are saying. And he didn't mean we like the royal we, him. He means all conservatives, all MAGA people. They, and you know who they are, these evildoers that want Trump to fail. They are listening and monitoring everything we say and do, so you have to be on your best behavior. Like me, when I'm out and about and I'm in my MAGA gear, I view myself, and you should too, as a representative of President Trump. Even though he may not know who you are, he's not responsible for what we do when we're out and about. But people that you run into will judge President Trump based on how you behave and how you carry yourself. So when you are in that famous circle like Dana White or Patrick Bet-David or others, it's not smart, and there's others other than those two, it's not smart for you to hang out with this guy. Nothing positive can come out of it other than the immediacy of some views and clicks and attention in the immediate moment. But long term, there's a high likelihood that there's going to be problems with it. So I really wish that our MAGA friends and influencers would stay away from Andrew Tate. And a lot of you may disagree with that, but tell me what the gain is. Why? Why is he being welcomed into our circle? Now, if Tommy Robinson were here in the United States, that'd be different. But he's not Tommy Robinson. Okay. Now, this one here, this is AP. The AP, speaking of, being on your best behavior for Trump, the AP are on a revenge move now against the president. And they have this story. The Associated Press this is in Breitbart today. The Associated Press took aim at the Defense Department as it works to remove diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, from the military. The Associated Press cited a database and anonymous sources, which typically mean BS sources, when it reported that references to the Enola Gay bomber plane used to drop the A-bomb on Hiroshima during World War II were among images and online posts in line for deletion, which, again, we don't know that that's true. We just know that the Trump-hating Associated Press that's been kicked out, right, by Trump because they won't say Gulf of America is reporting this. The AP further said that in some cases, photos seem to be flagged for removal simply because their file included the word gay. Now, Enola Gay, I know most of you probably know, but for those that don't know, Colonel Tibbet, he named the B-29 Enola Gay. That was his mother's name, I guess her maiden name, and that's why it's called Enola Gay. They said the AP reported that photos seem to be flagged for removal simply because the file included the word gay, including service members with that last name, and an image of the B-29 aircraft Enola Gay, which dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. However, the chief Pentagon spokesman wrote in a social media post on Friday, "We are obviously not removing images of the Enola Gay or any other pictures for that matter that honor the legacy of our warfighters, and any suggestion that we are is ridiculous and false." Now, this is a very long story going into a lot of things. Obviously, that entire story is 100% BS. Okay? It's 100% BS. They have just put it out there. This stupid story that's ridiculous. It's almost like a Babylon Bee story, isn't it? Because they're on a mission against Trump. They want to do anything to bring Trump down. And I find it interesting. This story kind of went semi-viral with liberals. All of a sudden, Democrats, liberals are defending the Enola Gay. They've been doing nothing but dishonoring the Enola Gay and have said that the United States owes some kind of apology for dropping the A-bomb. But now all of a sudden, they're the big defenders of the Enola Gay. But the story is complete BS. And it goes to show you the amount of fake news. See, this is what I'm talking about. You have to be on your best behavior when you represent MAGA at any level, whether it's you, me, or these people that are buddying up with Andrew Tate. And I watched a clip of Andrew Tate with Patrick Bet-David the other day, and I listened to it, and I watched it a couple times because Andrew Tate said nothing. I didn't even understand why he was there. He said nothing really of note. See, we're winning on everything. So things are perfect right now for us. The only thing that can stop things from continuing to go in a perfect way are if some of our people screw up. And believe me, these Democrats are out there looking for ways for us to screw up. They're so bad. Listen, this is Jasmine Crockett. She's on MSNBC. Listen to what she says here. And this shows you how far out of the mainstream they are. Listen.
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally.
What? It's not a crime to enter the country illegally. Isn't it a crime to do something illegal? So if you illegally enter, haven't you done something illegal, which is criminal?
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated, because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for the murderers and the sexual abusers as well as the robbers. They want them to go and round people up on civil accusations. And so
oh my goodness. Now it's another thing. You have the Democrats are into law and order now. They need to go out after violent criminals. They've been defending criminals their whole life. But when they're out there saying that enter the country illegally is not something illegal, they're gone. They're so far gone, so far out of touch with the American people. There's no hope for them to regain any semblance of popularity or credibility. As long as they keep going this way, we're going to gain more support. And here's another example. This is Stacey Abrams. We found out that she was given $2 billion from the EPA, right, by the Biden administration's EPA, and she's worried about this, obviously, because she went on MSNBC to try to explain it away.
One of the ironies of the attack on you, and I'm going to play what he did, was that my understanding is the program at the source of this whole thing is a program to lower costs for people. Do I have that top line correct?
You have it absolutely right.
Okay, so I'm gonna play what he had to say, and then I'm gonna ask you to explain what the program is that was such an obvious, ludicrous laugh line for the Republicans there. Take a listen.
$1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her?
Okay, so what is this organization? What is your relation to it, and what does it do?
In 2023 and 2024, I led a program called Vitalizing DeSoto. We worked in a tiny town in South Georgia to demonstrate that by replacing energy inefficient appliances with efficient appliances, you can lower your cost. And in fact, we accomplished that. For 75% of the community, they got appliances that are lowering their bills right now.
Okay, so Stacey Abrams this is interesting. She says they got appliances. She didn't say that. Did she say that she used the $2 billion to buy them the appliances? Hold on, let's go back.
5% of the community, they got appliances that are lowering their bills right now. We had one woman who saw her electric bill cut in half from $180 to $98. That's what we delivered. And based on that program, a coalition of organizations, famous organizations, came together and said to the EPA, if we can do this here, we can do this for millions more Americans. Let us invest the money of America in lowering the cost for Americans.
Okay, so what does that mean? She didn't say that they bought these people appliances. It sounds more like they informed them with a program that they could. Now, I don't know how to do the math on this because things vary in cost. But how many appliances could you buy for $2 billion with a B? 2 billion with a B, not 2 million, 2 billion with a B. And my guess is she's doing this interview because she's nervous. She's out there talking about this because she's trying to get a narrative going. You know, whenever you watch these crime shows, right? The true crime. I like true crime. Okay, it's one of my My little guilty pleasures when I take a break from the news, I watch true crime about murderers and stuff. And when they're questioning someone, the police, when they're questioning someone who's guilty, what I notice, and this, and it's not just me, I think the cops certainly know this. What the guilty like to do is give you another suspect, right? To draw attention away from them. So here's Stacey Abrams. She's on television saying, oh yeah, the $2 billion. Now people have appliances. She did not say that they bought $2 billion worth of appliances. She said they had this program and now people have them. Exactly. I'd like to know where, I'd like to see the receipts on the $2 billion in appliances. And if they bought appliances for people, how much did they pay for them? Did they pay like 2 to 4 times what they're really valued at? And then they got to keep them? Who knows? But there should definitely be some type of audit of this $2 billion for this agency, this program that Stacey Abrams was running, because something stinks about that. All right, we're going to take our last break. When we get back, there's a whole bunch more to talk about. I'm Brian. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
What fuels a champion? Focus, strength, and endurance. And now there's an energy drink like no other that's built for all three. Blitz. Other energy drinks say they're made without sugar and artificial sweeteners. Everyone has zero sugar, but they all use artificial sweeteners except Blitz. Blitz is naturally sweetened using a fruit called monk fruit that gives you clean energy without that crash. Blitz is packed with green tea, ginseng, ginkgo biloba, and ginger, loaded with B vitamins in combination with herbs. It sharpens focus and will fuel your performance at work or at the gym. And at just 15 calories, it has no artificial colors, dyes, or high fructose corn syrup. Blitz is energy the way it should be. Pure, powerful, and made with real lychee fruit that gives you bold, refreshing flavor. Blitz ships to all 50 states. So order right now online at blitzbeverages.com. That's BLITZ. Blitzbeverages.com. You can also find Blitz in select grocery stores in New York City. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Blitz Energy Drinks and get ready for 3 new flavors coming soon: pineapple, grapefruit, and passion fruit. Blitz, energy for champions. Drink up, power up, rise above. Order now at blitzbeverages.com. From author Krista St. Germain comes a story of love, loss, and the power of resilience in Where Are You, Caleb? A novel available on Amazon. 20 years ago, Diane Hart's life was shattered. Her 6-year-old son, Caleb, vanished without a trace. No answers, no closure, just the endless pain of wondering, where are you, Caleb? Now, decades later, the truth is finally within reach. Diane's daughters, Anna and Kara, team up with relentless detectives to uncover the secrets that have been buried for years. What they find will change everything. Find out the truth and order your copy of Where Are You, Caleb? A novel from author Krista St. Germain on Amazon. This book makes a perfect addition to your book club and will stay with you long after the final page. Where Are You, Caleb? A novel from author Krista St. Germain on Amazon. Experience the mystery, elegance, and soothing power of Dark Night candles. Only at candlesbyross.com. Handcrafted with care by Ross, the creator of the Dark Night candle line. These luxurious candles are designed to ease anxiety, relieve stress, and bring a serene glow to your home. Each flame represents resilience, strength, and quiet sophistication. Infused with deep, evocative fragrances, Dark Night candles are eco-friendly and handmade with care in the charming village of Grays Lake, Illinois. They're perfect for those who love modern luxury with a touch of mystique. Right now, enjoy free shipping and an exclusive buy 2, get 1 free offer. No code needed. Shop the entire Dark Night candle collection today at candlesbyross.com. Let their glow bring warmth and serenity to your space. The Dark Night candle collection, where modern craftsmanship meets legendary spirit. Order now at candlesbyross.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back to the final segment. I'm Brian Craig. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I appreciate it. Bartiromo did an interview with President Trump for Sunday show, and really good. I want to play a couple clips of it because I thought it was He says a pretty good thing. Well, he's always good, isn't he? Everything he says is good. But this is President Trump talking about Democrats.
I was surprised at the Democrats' behavior the other night because you delivered among the most diverse, expanded audience, Republicans, Democrats, independents.
Yeah.
So is it just the Democrat leadership that does not see that?
There's something wrong with them.
No, sure.
It's just something.
Sure is.
I can't even believe it. They lost an election in a landslide. They were talking about men playing in women's sports. When I looked the other night, I made a speech. The Republicans were going wild, and the Democrats were having their little signs up, little tiny signs. And I said, it's unbelievable. They don't get it. They don't get it now. And I think they're going to end up being a minor party if they keep going like this, because people don't want to hear about these stupid ideas that they have. Transgender for everybody. And again, the men and women's sports, what is that, a 90-10 deal? I don't even know who the 10 would be. But they're fighting for it. And I try and say to myself, because you always like to understand where your opponent is, whether it's in business or anything else, is there something I don't understand? But we don't understand it.
That issue with the sports, he's so right about that. I mean, who is for that? And why do they think that's such a winning issue? And I know people, well, they're demonic. Well, yeah, but there's something in their entire party, except Newsom, who's walked that back, but there's something in their party that tells them that that's a thing. And this is what part of it is, because I've seen this with Democrats, with some other groups over the years. They take for granted that they have who they have, and then they are always, the Democrats, looking for new victim groups to bring into the party. And maybe they saw it as a new victim group. I don't know, but it's just stupid. It's a stupid position, and they're really not walking it back. A few are, but as a group, as a party, they're not. Okay, here's the president again. This is with Bartiromo, and he's talking about the Department of Education here.
We want to bring the schools back to the states because we have the worst, literally, we have the worst education department and education in the world. We're ranked at the bottom of the list, and yet we're number one when it comes to cost per pupil. We want to not only have school choice, which is important, but we want to bring it back to the states so the states can run the schools, and they will be every bit as good as the top educational departments anywhere in the world.
So you see, now this is a pretty ingenious thing, because allowing the states to control their schools, that means in some states, they're going to have the best schools in the country, or better than a lot of other states. And parents will move to another state just to get a better education for their child. Like Kathy and I, the house we moved in to this house, the spring before our daughter started kindergarten. And we looked at a lot of houses in a lot of areas, but this area had top schools in it for elementary, middle school, and high school, with incredible programs. And even though our daughter went to public school, she got the equivalent of a very advanced private school education. The schools are that good. And we moved here because of it. And we got a smaller house than we were kind of looking for. We've stayed in it all these years, but we got a smaller house than we were looking for, instead of a house a little bigger. And we got a house without a pool instead of one with it, because we wanted to be where they had the best schools. And there are some parts of this country that have schools that are just terrible. Like when I went to high school, just terrible school. And that's a good thing. It sets up competition. See, this is everything Trump does is from a business mindset. And in a business mindset, one of those things that always builds excellence is competition. Competition. You get a competition, and then you have excellence. Some people don't care, and they suck. But competition will improve education. All right, here he is again. This is President Trump. This is with Bartiromo talking about Elon.
You just said, what he's done is unbelievable. Now, you could then add some, but what about He's found hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fake contracts, and I read them, just a tiny portion of them, the other night. Transgender surgery on mice, hundreds of, the money they're spending on all of this stuff, the whole thing's a scam. And you'll find ultimately that the money that they sent comes back to a lot of the people that made those deals, okay? You're going to find that. What he's also done is made people realize how many people should be cut. Because normally you go in and you say, all right, cut 4% of your workforce. He said cut 50%, 60%, 70%. That's a big thing. No, he's done a great job.
Yeah. And I nobody likes anyone to lose their job. Okay. So I wouldn't say that, MAGA people are completely heartless about those who work with the government. But President Trump offered that buyout a while back. Take the buyout. They should have taken the buyout and you go and look for work. And there's a lot of vacancies now because of the deportations that are going on. But the government has just gotten too big and out of control and spoiled. And it's a big con job where they're ripping us off and stealing our money as hard as we work to pay taxes. And they are stealing our money. Now, one of the big talking points, I was talking about this earlier, they keep saying that Trump's going to cut Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. So Bartiromo asked him about it.
We're going to have growth like you've never seen before.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you said that.
We're going to have growth. I'm not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Now, we're going to get fraud out of there. You see where I talk about it all the time. We have people 250 years old and all,
Yep.
Tremendous fraud. But that has nothing to do with that. We're going to get the fraud out, and everybody wants us to get the fraud out, and therefore you'll make it better. But we're going to have tremendous growth. When you
the fraud, including all the illegals and dead people that are getting benefits. And obviously dead people aren't receiving benefits, but someone's receiving the money. Someone's getting it. They're not just getting, they're not on the rolls for no reason. There's a reason why. And I'm going to play this last clip. I got a lot of clips here, but I'm only going to play this last one with the president today. And here he's talking about what in a vague sense, but it's kind of specific at the same time. What his goal is, what he's trying to do with everything that he's doing so far as the government goes.
Well, I want a dynamic country where the private enterprise carries the day, not the government. And I want a strong country militarily. We need that nowadays. You can see that probably better than ever before. So I rebuilt our military. A lot of it was given away to Afghanistan, but it was a lot, but a very small portion, in all fairness. But when you think about the billions and billions of dollars that was just handed over, but I rebuilt it. We're going to be rebuilding it again because we need that. We always need that. But we're doing a series of incentives, tax incentives and other things. The tax bill, I think, is going to be very important.
Oh, yeah.
Democrats will fight us all the way. One thing I learned the other night, again, I could say, because it's my fifth.
This is before we get back to the president. This thing about the taxes, the tax bill hasn't happened yet, right? They're getting ready to introduce it. No tax on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security, making the Bush tax cuts the Trump, not Bush, making the Trump tax cuts permanent and some other things. The Democrats have been spending weeks, and by the time this happens, it'll be months, telling us how bad taxes are when it comes to the import taxes, the tariffs. So what are they going to do? Are they going to argue against these tax cuts when they've been telling us how bad taxes are when it comes to the import taxes? They're going to look like clowns, even to their own people.
Such speech. And at the beginning, I said I didn't know it was going to be as pertinent as it turned out to be. That no matter what I do, this group of people in front of us, I could come up with the cure to the worst disease that the world has ever seen. I gave other examples. I said, no matter what I do, they're going to sit there angry, insolent. You just see it. I mean, you see it, you can feel it. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter who it is, they won't stand, they won't applaud, they won't clap. They'll just sit there with sour faces. And that's what they did. And, it was interesting. I said, I wonder if I should put this in, but it worked out to be true. And I think by putting it in, I showed that it was true. And it's sad because we're doing great things in this country. This country's really got a chance to be pretty quickly great again. I think I think the country has got a big light over it right now, and I've been told this by even other foreign leaders. We had Modi, we had everybody. We had from France to India to about 12 that want to come in. They all want to be here. Every one of them wants to be here. We had the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom who was here, and he couldn't believe. He said the difference in terms of the feeling about the United States is very different. It feels that we're back, we're respected again. We are respected again. And in a way, we're back, and it's only been a few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that beautiful? You know, and when people say on the left, oh, make America great again, what does that mean? You're seeing it here. Bringing all these companies here in, bringing hundreds of billions of dollars in investment with incredible jobs. And, you know, this thing he did the other day with the crypto. The crypto's here to stay. It's been around for a long time. Do you want crypto based in the United States or in Asia, in China? You want it here. You know, it's very smart what he's doing. This is truly the golden age of America. This is like what America was like in the 50s and 60s before the Vietnam War heated up. It's a great thing. And I want to tell you guys about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair, Tom Laporta is your guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. He's a good MAGA guy. He'll take very good care of you. He is a contractor, not just a roofer, which means under Florida law, he can deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the repair or replacement of your roof. He works on every type of structure, commercial, residential, even municipal. He does church roofs as well, schools, whatever it is. He can handle the job of any size, whether it's one building, one home, or a condo HOA that has over 300 units in it. He can do it. He's a good guy. I'm going to give you his cell phone number and his website. Now, remember, the number on the website, you can call, but that's not his cell phone. You can call or text him directly. He only gives his cell phone number out to our listeners, and that's 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602 for Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. Online, LaportaRoofing.com. That's LaportaRoofing.com. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Talk to you next time.